And welcome, one and all, to the Apptrepreneur Show. This is the place where we can talk about tech, pop culture, and life in between. I am your host, Kevin, the Apptrepreneur. Thank you so much for spending your time watching this Sunday podcast with us. And this is the first new show of the year. And as the first episode of the new year, we're going to do it a little differently. It's not going to be as structured as it normally is. It's going to be a little bit more casual. I myself did not feel the need to get out of this new robe that my wife got me. The show will otherwise be the same, though. You'll have me and a co-host, some of whom you have seen before, some of you probably have not seen before, joining me as we discuss a variety of different topics. But for today, we are bringing back someone who is very familiar to this channel. It is Mark from the channel formerly known as Uber Hints. Welcome, Mark.
Well, it's great to be here. What a way to start off the new year. I don't know what you're looking at there in Florida or in California. Here in Florida, I'm looking out and this is a dry season in Florida, but we just had a pretty heavy rainfall just in the past 10 minutes or so.
Oh, yeah, no. California has hit some storms. Actually, very, very positive because we were in a severe drought, and now the drought, not so severe anymore. So it's always amazing how just a few days of heavy rain can really change circumstances. Well, Mark, since you are here, I figured I do watch once in a while your little Sunday live stream. So I thank you for foregoing that one to come here, unless you're going to go and do one of your own afterwards. In that case, well, thank you for making this detour. But I've decided that since you're here, we need drinks. Like I said, folks, it's just going to be a casual day. Nothing too serious.
And if you're not a visitor of Uber Hints, you probably won't know why he's doing that. But I usually have a cocktail during my live streams. But today I don't drink on other people's podcasts. I don't know if that is proper form.
Well, it's proper form if you're invited to do it. So also for any YouTube censors out here, I don't drink alcohol. This is actually a pink lemonade that has only 2 grams of sugar. So, and the glass is from Barry Manilow's Copacabana bar because me and my wife went to see Barry Manilow for our anniversary. Yes, all you men out there, I went and saw Barry Manilow and I enjoyed it unironically. There's no shame in that.
You know what? I'll tell you something. And this is going back a long, long time, but I have seen Barry Manilow as well. Probably, 25 years ago, 30 years ago, something. It was a long time ago.
Yeah, well, he's still doing it and still has a pretty good voice too. So, but anyway, we're not here to talk about that. So normally, for people who have seen the shows before, and especially when Mark has been on the show, and we used to do the monthly Rideshare podcast with Cecily and Mike, we used to lay out a bunch of topics. I would kind of read the topic, I would discuss the news article, and then I would pass it on. But as mentioned, we're going to try to do something a little differently. We're going to just kind of free flow it and talk about some fun topics. The first being Christmas. We all get good and bad Christmas gifts, and I'm just so we're going to talk about what were some of our favorite and non-favorite gifts without naming names because we don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. So my favorite gift actually so far was this robe. Now I used to wear robes all the time, and then one of them gets worn out, and so you kind of have to throw it away, and then they're expensive, so you don't get one. But I kind of missed it. I'm a robe guy, I discovered. I really just like the comfort and how it feels, and so I told my wife, normally I put electronics on my wish list. I guess just a robe. I actually felt old for the first time because in the past it would always be yeah, get me the new Xbox, get me a Canon camera, get me a microphone, get me something. And today it's I want a robe. Simple. So she got me it, and it's oh my gosh, I've missed this so much. I have missed this so much. So I don't know. So Mark, what was your highlight for Christmas gifts?
Well, I'm beyond the age of looking forward to getting gifts, but I did get something quite interesting from my wife this year. And it kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier about having the cocktails. And if you'll notice that my name says Average Me this time and not Uber Hints. And on Average Me, every Thursday, I have Thirsty Thursday. And I have a little sort of a tiki bar set up here in my lanai, and I make a different cocktail. And my wife got me a really nice little bar set, with a little crystal shaker and a strainer and, long stirring spoon and just some odds and ends that I was lacking. So that was kind of nice to get that. But I'll tell you what, and this is going to sound hokey and corny, but the truth is, I think the best Christmas gift was the reason we moved down here to Florida was my in-laws are getting up in years and they live down here. And for once, kind of having the family together was just really a nice Christmas gift. My daughter wasn't able to join us. She's in Texas, but I think that was very nice to have the family together. So one material and one emotional.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I definitely understand that. Like I would guess like my my emotional good Christmas gift was frankly a friend who is still here to spend time with. Now, some of you may have heard this story before because it was a thing that I talked about a couple weeks ago, but I never really gave any updates. So I have a friend named Josh who, by the way, gave me this Mario beanie, which when I opened it, I was like, "Oh, Josh, you do watch the channel," and he's like, "No, I don't. I just thought you needed a better beanie." So that was weird. But anyway, so my friend Josh had a heart problem for years that had not been properly diagnosed. And a few months ago, like I would say September, he went to the hospital to get a big rash looked like. And while he was there, he ended up having a stroke. And it was, we found out about this like at 5 a.m. because he had gone in the night before. He was staying overnight. And while he was there at around 3 a.m., he had a stroke. And of course, I had to operate on him. And while he was on the operating table, he had a second stroke. So it was this is someone that I've known for like more than 20 years, by the way. But so that was very stressful. I did remember making YouTube videos basically expressing my worry, but I did make one that said that it looked like he was going to survive. Well, my Christmas gift on the emotional level is that he has since come home. And he is living at home. He's getting the rehab. They do think he will be able to recover fully, although he still kind of slurs his words a little bit now. His arm is kind of like, it won't move. He has to be in a wheelchair. So on one hand, it's a very weird feeling to kind of see someone that you know for a long time and he's just a little different than he used to be. But at the same time, it's just such a blessing that he was able to survive. Also extra blessing, I don't know if I mentioned this in the last YouTube video, but because of the rising COVID cases, he managed to get the last hospital bed at the hospital that night. If that bed wasn't available, they might have sent him home, and who knows where we would be. So, sometimes you just have to kind of look at something and just say, I know it sucks what happened, but I'm also thankful that you're still around. So, on that note, yeah, I can a little different from what you experienced, but I think, we probably should count the blessings in our personal life aside from just the stuff that we're given.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So now, as for I'm not gonna say this was my least favorite Christmas gift. It was just the strangest thing. So for those of you who are not aware, I am, believe it or not, I'm a stick in the mud. I'm actually no fun at all. I'll go to parties and I'll talk and I'll drink and I'll mingle, and then someone says, "Oh, who wants to play a game?" And it's like, nope, don't want to play a game. Not interested. Don't want to play the board games. Don't want to do Monopoly. I don't want to do Taboo. I just don't like games. It's kind of complicated as to why, but I don't like board and card games. It's just not my thing. And so we did have a birthday party for me this year, which doubled as a Christmas party. And someone decided to get me a trivia board game for my birthday. So, look, not a terrible gift. I mean, I guess it was a nice thought. I was just kind of wondering what the thought process was. If I've been to your house how many times? I've never wanted to play a board game. I've never wanted to play a card game, and you decided to get me a board/card game for Christmas. So I don't know. That's just kind of a weird one. I don't know. Mark, are you comfortable with sharing maybe a physical gift that you got that you kind of raised an eyebrow at?
I'll tell you a weird one, a weird thing that happened. Where I work, we had with our little department, they had an exchange, sort of a gift exchange, but it was very specific gift exchange. They said they wanted us to all get a Christmas ornament. And then we had a lunch together. And I'll tell you what, one of the wonderful things about being down here in Florida, because, I'm a Wisconsin guy, and every morning I wake up now and I look at my phone and I see, what's it like in Wisconsin? It's 2 degrees, it's 5 degrees, it's 7 degrees, whatever. And it's just crazy when I come down here, and at Christmas time, we're having lunch outside on the water, looking at palm trees. I'm eating that up. But anyway, I digress. So we're exchanging all these things, where we have these Christmas ornaments that we bought. And the person that was supposed to buy one for me said, "Oh, I forgot it in my car. I'll get it to you later." Never happened.
Oh, okay.
So my least favorite gift was the one I didn't get.
That's funny.
Not that I'm really that I need, and I was anxious and excited to get, this tree ornament, but it was just odd. I don't know if anyone from work watches. I'm sure people from work don't watch the Apptrepreneur channel. They probably don't know it exists. So
no,
I'm safe doing that.
Yeah, no one from my work watches this channel. None of my friends watch it. I think the only one who watches it, honestly, is my dad. I think my mom and my dad are the only ones in my personal life that I am aware of. I mean, for the time that I was actually doing YouTube full time, when YouTube was paying me enough that it could be my job, I remember talking to my friend Zach once and explained to what I was talking about. And at one point I'm like, "You don't know what I do every day at work, do you?" And he's like, "Well, you don't know what I do every day at work." And I'm like, "Well, yeah, but the difference is you can actually stalk me at my job if you want. I can't storm onto the offices of this major Silicon Valley company that I don't want to mention." But if he decided for this one time to watch my channel, he knows who he is now. So, by the way, I also loved, someone got me Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood playing cards. I don't know what to make. I don't know what to make of that, to be perfectly honest.
Okay, I got to tell you something. While you were talking there, the strangest thing just happened. There's a window right in front of me, and the gecko lizards, of course, are here. And one of those lizards was running across the screen, and there was a big insect on there, and he got that insect, and he started munching it down. And then another lizard went after him to try to steal his insect from him. So I have all of that drama going on, as well as participating in this.
Yeah.
No wonder only 5 people are watching. This is what we're talking about.
Well, I think not a lot of people are watching because we're not talking about rideshare much these days. Although, ironically, we might just do that as kind of a belated Christmas gift to the people who do watch, but it's going to be for a different perspective than you're probably used to. So, anyway, with Christmas out of the way, now it's time for New Year's. And one of the things that people do with New Year's is they make New Year's resolutions. They decide we're going to commit to doing certain things. And, there's some usual ones. There's some, I want to eat better. I want to go to the gym more. That's not my New Year's resolution, because that's basically been an all year resolution. I am 10 pounds away from being the weight that I want to be. So, and here's an amazing thing. I lost 2 pounds over the holidays. Now, some people might say, well, who cares? That's only 2 pounds. It's during Christmas. during Christmas, you are almost guaranteed to gain 10 pounds. The fact that I lost 2, I'm going to consider that a major, major accomplishment, and I will brag about that. But that's not, because I do that all year round, that's not one of my New Year's resolutions. So I figure I would share my New Year's resolutions, and you can share yours, and we'll kind of compare why we want to do this. So one of my first New Year's resolutions is I want to read 50 books this year. I read 26 last year, and I have pretty much more than half of the Redwall series to read, as well as 3 Cormoran Strike novels from J.K. Rowling that I haven't read yet. So I've decided, you know what? I'm really going to force myself to read a little every day because I want to read 50 books this year. I'm using the Goodreads app, which I know is an Amazon product, I know. But I'm using the Goodreads app to keep track of it. The other major New Year's resolution is I wanted to restart the podcast, which I guess we've started that one as well. And then the third one is I wanted to write every day. Now, it doesn't have to be anything major. It doesn't have to be even finished that day. I just want to write something, whether it's a blog post, a movie review, or a script for a YouTube video on one of my this or one of my other channels. And then I guess my final New Year's resolution is I wanted to seriously change the channels, and I wanted to upload videos that I wanted to upload regardless of the views or reception. So those are my New Year's resolutions. Now, Mark, what do you first of all, I guess since it's my show, we'll narcissistically start with me. So what do you think of those resolutions, and what resolutions do you have on your plate?
I think those are good goals. I think I like to look at it as being goals rather than resolutions. Now I'll talk about that in just a minute. I like those because I think a lot of them interrelate. You know, you're talking about doing different things with the channel, and then you're talking about writing. So that's great. Reading books, that's been on my radar just forever. If you can't see it, but just to the left of me, I have 2 6-foot bookcases. They're chock full of books, and I think I've read every single one of them. So I can relate to that, certainly. As far as me, you can't break what you don't make. So I just am not a resolution type guy. I've never been into that type of I don't even know what to call it, routines or tradition of making a resolution just because it's the first of the year. If I'm going to try to do things, I will just make up my mind to do them regardless where I am. If I were pushed to, it would be along similar lines as you. I fell out of the healthy eating habit. I think when I moved down here, there was so much disruption in my life, and I never got back into the routine. So I think if there was something that I was going to do, it would probably fall in the realms of things to improve my health. Working out more regularly, although I do get outside a lot more. I do take a lot of walks and things here. So I do have some physical activity, but not, the working out in the gym type. I think it would probably be healthier eating and, more regular, structured exercise. That would probably be it. Although I do have to say, I don't make formal resolutions.
Right. Well, I kind of understand where you're coming with on that one, but I also understand why it's a good tradition, because one of the things that can, there's a lot of things that'll kill you soon, but one of the things that will definitely kill you is stagnation. If you don't keep challenging yourself, if you don't engage the mind, that's where you can really start having problems. So I've always thought, the New Year's just a good reminder to say, hey, you know what? Whether you're in a good place or a bad place, you don't want to just get stuck there. You want to have a goal of some sort to move forward. So I think, and the whole for the most part, New Year's doesn't really do much for me. I don't drink. I'm very open about that, and I don't even like parties all that much. But I do like the idea of kind of saying okay, what do I want to accomplish? And let's try to make a commitment to see if we can make that happen. So that's that's kind of that's why I like it. But I also understand why you should probably, but you also have to keep in mind, I like to have like kind of a structured thing. Like if I don't have a plan, then sometimes it never actually gets done. So New Year's Eve is a very useful time to just kind of go like, oh, it's the first of the year. What am I going to aim to accomplish this next year? Although in all fairness, some of these things that I decided on, I had already made plans to, achieve those goals. And New Year's was just kind of like, this is more of like a start date than it is. I'm just thinking up these things now. So now that we got our new car out of the way, which
wait, tell me about the car.
So last year's resolution, because we had a change up with the car situation with the pandemic and everything. We find that we are not driving it as much, and we would like to just downsize and get a new, more reliable car. So I already made a video a year ago where we sold the little Toyota Corolla, sold it to CarMax. Amazing. They gave me $3,000 for it, even though it had more than 200,000 miles on it. Thank you, Uber and Lyft. That's why it had that many miles. And we went down to one car. But then the car that we still had started having some issues. And we're like, you know what? We should really get a new car next year, a Prius or something, especially with the gas prices the way they are. I just wanted to start getting away from the gas. It didn't have to be all electric, but it needed to at least be a hybrid. So it turns out, so we save and we do all the work and we put a down payment. And now we are the proud owners of a 2022 Corolla hybrid. And it's a nice little blue color. My wife has nicknamed it Sonic because it's blue. So we just finally have a new car, and guys, the gas. Oh my gosh, the savings on the gas. Like, we've had it for a few weeks now. We drove it quite a bit and we've only filled it up once. The gas mileage is insanely good on this vehicle. So that was last year's goal / resolution come full circle. And once that was there, it's like, okay, what next?
You know how you can save money on gas?
Not driving much. That's a start.
Move to Florida.
Well, you're gonna have the same problem here. Unfortunately, the gas is just going up everywhere. And also, I've wanted a hybrid for a long time, to be honest. I don't know. I'm a little bit of an environmentalist. I'm not we need to ground all the planes environmentalist, but I'm definitely all for using less waste and spewing less emissions. So, when we get our house, we're going to put the solar panels on the roof. I mean, it's just practical. I mean, first of all, yes, you are helping the environment. And secondly, you're saving a ton of money when you do things like that in the long run. So that's just my thinking. I'm sure I'll get some because I've got like a lot of deep red state viewers here who I love to death, but they can get they have strong opinions. They might start saying things like, oh, you're drinking the liberal Kool-Aid. And it's like, guys, my gas bill with this hybrid has gone from like $125 a month to probably $50 a month. That's why I did it. So just calm down.
Well, I don't think we should get political, but I kind of think everybody likes to live in a clean place. I don't think anybody says, yeah, more pollution.
No. Oh no, they don't. But like my mother-in-law, who I love. I love you, mom. Seriously, I do. But she doesn't want to like get like a hybrid because she hates Democrats, to be frank, and because Democrats are the ones that push that farther, she therefore just doesn't want to think about it. Actually, when I was talking to her about the car, this was very interesting. I was saying, I was justifying like, well, we're not getting the electric car now because we're not just going to use it as a commuter car. It is going to be brought to like Sacramento, where my parents live, and we actually do want to take a road trip to Tennessee to see some friends. And an electric car probably is not practical for that. And she said, well, I wouldn't want an electric car because what if the government turns the electricity off? I was like, why would they do that? And she's like, well, you never know. The government might want to turn the electricity off, though. And I'm like, but if they turn the electricity off, wouldn't you have other problems and whether or not you could charge your Ford Electric. I don't know. I'm just, sometimes I am amazed at what people politicize. It's very, very strange. So, but anyway, that's it. Folks, I promise you that's about as political as it will get today. So let's talk about the big topic, the one that people might say, oh, so you're backtracking. You are going to talk about rideshare again. Well,
Rideshare.
Yeah, rideshare. That dirty word that we swear we would never talk about again, which, by the way, is not necessarily true. I have stated that I simply do not want to discuss it that much. Now, the last time I discussed rideshare was about, I think it was October 18th. And I called the video, "The Rideshare Bubble Has Burst, My Final Word." And I did say that this is where it ends. There will be no more rideshare related videos unless it was like a major story. Like, for example, there's a Showtime series about the founding of Uber coming out in late February. And I don't know if you have Showtime, but even though this isn't necessarily an entertainment channel, considering all we've talked about over the years, it might be fun to do a weekly episode discussion podcast of that show. I don't know. We'll think about that. But before that, I did that final video. The last time that I talked about rideshare was in July, where I discussed someone taking an Uber Khosrowshahi tweet way out of context. A way out of context tweet. But otherwise, I've really not discussed it. And yet, despite me making it very clear that this is not really what I am into anymore, that I don't really follow anymore. In fact, I don't think there's really anything to follow at the moment. My reputation and my legacy in the rideshare community has kind of stuck around. I still get emails and I still get tweets from people. And you and I talked a little bit on Christmas, which, by the way, that's the other thing that changed. I'm not throwing anyone under the bus when I say this. I swear I am not. But Mark, you're the only rideshare person from the good old days that I actually got to talk to on Christmas Day. Now, I want to make it clear, I did call Cecily and she did send me a Merry Christmas tweet. And Dustin, not a tweet, a message. And Dustin also sent me a message, and I talked to Randy on and off throughout the year. So it's not like I have necessarily lost contact with a lot of these people, but it just kind of shows that, you're not doing this as much. And so you just start to take different paths in life. And I think sometimes people don't understand why you would want to move on from this topic when things like this are happening. So, and let me kind of illustrate what's going on. Then maybe you can start sharing maybe some of your thoughts about this whole thing. But despite the fact that I've only made two rideshare videos since July, I got a message on Twitter from someone who is fighting for a bill in California. They're writing a bill and they're trying to get this legislation on the ballot, which I don't discourage, by the way. I will never discourage people trying to get legislation passed if they feel it will truly help people. That's why we have legislation. You get it written, you get it on the books, you get it voted on. I'm totally okay with that. And they were texting me all these facts and things, trying to convince me that this was a good thing to go. And my response to them was, I have responded to all of these things that you have stated years ago, like in my videos. Like, I don't think this is going to work, and I've already explained why. And they're like, well, why do you think that this wouldn't work? And my response was, look, I know you think that the industry has changed that much. It really hasn't. But I'm not going to repeat it here on Twitter because I don't think that's worth my time. I've made the videos. They're available. Go watch them. That's my response. And the guy's like, no, I will not watch your videos. I will not give you money for this. I want you to I want you to explain your position, or else maybe you're like Torsten, and I know what you're like. Some of us quit this to fight for change, and I'm like, I don't know what you want me to say. I quit too. I quit Rideshare, and I quit talking about Rideshare. It's not so. So here's kind of what the point is. I think the Rideshare community, such as it was at the beginning of the games, was both a blessing and a curse. It was a blessing because at the time it was new, it was sexy, it was fun. There weren't a lot of people doing it at the time. So it was kind of fun to make videos, share your thoughts, and some of us, like you, me, Randy, Cecily, Gio. No hard feelings against the guy anymore, but I just had to. Some of us found unique voices and unique things to say, and so we kind of rose above the rest. But the thing is, I think you said this to me in private one time. Uber is basically driving a car and picking someone up and dropping them off. It's not exactly that complicated, and eventually people would figure that out, and we were more or less going to have to find new jobs. And of course that happened. Uber came along for 10 years. It just sucked after so many, and slowly but surely people started to move on. Cecily got more into acting. Randy got into flipping cars and becoming a YouTube millionaire. Congratulations, buddy. I'm glad one of us made it. And I started putting more work on my other channels, my iCritic channel, my Apptrepreneur Media channel, and my Autograph Hound channel, which is actually my favorite channel to make, even though 4 or 5 people watch it. I don't know. It's not much. And yet, the strange thing is the internet and people who watch my channel still come back. They still want my opinions. And this conversation that we had kind of highlighted why I wanted to get out of it in the first place. Because it's it hasn't, obviously things have not changed. I mean, the prop AB5 was a couple years ago at this point, 2 or 3 years. It's kind of hard to think that it was that long ago, but it has been. And nothing's really improved. And people are doing the same things and expecting different results. And I'm just kind of now this legacy has been a curse, because when it was new and we were getting all these views and everything, it was definitely a lot of fun, but the novelty wore off and we want to move on. And yet I find that the internet is having a hard time letting me move on. So before we continue this conversation, is any of this resonating with you, and do you kind of see where I'm going with this?
Oh yeah, I mean we're both in the same boat here. Back in the good old days, when I talk about the good old days, when our channel,
good old days when computers didn't have to worry about no chip shortage.
I had, I remember one time, and this may have been before you and I even knew each other, and you were doing a guest spot on Cecily's channel. And I remember you saying, wow, I am on a channel with 5,000 subs. And I remember that. And then I remember reaching 10,000, and I thought, I'm on my way. And that's about when Rideshare leveled off. And I hit 10,006. Then I dropped down to 10,005, and I've been there for a year and a half. But what it is 10,600 people that subscribed to the channel at one point and then kind of forgot about it, never unsubscribed, and they're doing other things now. Mm-hmm. We used to get thousands of views, and we don't get thousands of views anymore. It just is not. Now, there are some channels that do. Dustin, with his candid camera, gets some great views. The Rideshare Suppressor still gets some really good
views. Be nice.
He does get good views. But that's because some people like to um, get rankled and get people all worked up. Well, that's not my approach. So what I've been doing ever since I moved to Florida, I have not driven in over a year.
Hmm.
And I try to look for the humor in the stuff. It's not worth getting my blood pressure up. But even then, where we used to get 3,000 and 4,000 views, I'm getting 300 and 400 views. People, they're not interested. So I'm actually surprised. You didn't even know this when you asked me to come on today, but I'm going to be making an announcement during my live stream tonight. Oh, I'm not going to say what it is, but
I could guess. I'm not going to because I'll probably be right. I'll try to leave it a surprise, but I am, after we end the broadcast, I'm going to make a guess and we'll see. You'll see if I'm right. If I'm wrong, unfortunately, no one else will. Well, maybe what I'll do is the next Apptrepreneur video I upload, I'll just open the video by saying, before we get to today's topic, I was right or I was wrong. that there. So someone
well,
can
they
have
will
an
know by that time because they will have watched. I'll tell you what, I won't confirm it, but go ahead and say what you think right now, and I won't confirm or deny, and then we'll know after 8 p.m. Eastern time.
I think you're either going to walk away from the Uber Hints channel and work on another channel, and you're going to say have a good goodbye. That's the number one thing I'd put my money on if we were putting money on this. And the second thing, but I think this is less likely because it didn't work before, is you're just going to rebrand the channel. But I think you're officially going to announce that the channel is basically going to be an archive of your Uber content, and you're going to move on to other channels and other work. So that's what I think. That's what I think it's going to be.
We will find out in 3.5 short hours.
3.5 short hours. All right. So, but yeah. Actually, the funny thing is, I have considered ending this channel completely because, you don't want to talk too much about your metrics and stuff because some people look at it as, oh, well, you're just complaining or you're trying to have a pity party. I don't see it that way. You can see it that way when I say this, but I'm going to be honest. I have been consistently losing about 15 to 20 subscribers per month. Now, is that like a boo-hoo thing when you've got 16,500 something subscribers? Probably not. I mean, it's probably the death by 1,000 paper cuts, if you will. It's like no one just chopped off your head, but it's like you're just cutting yourself a little, and then eventually it dries out. Also, I remember when we used to do podcasts, and remember when we'd have 50 to 100 listeners live, and we could do a Q&A afterwards. I kind of miss doing the Q&A.
I remember those days.
Yeah, those were fun. But
I still enjoy my live streams. My live streams, they're not, I'll get 25, 30 people on Sunday night. And then I end up with about 300 people who will come back and watch it after. And, I enjoy doing it because I really like the people. I like the friendships. I like the relationships that I got during those times. But I'll tell you what, one person made a comment last week. I love this channel because we all get to, I don't want to use the language they used, but basically we get to talk dirt about about Uber and Lyft. And if that's what it comes down to, that's pretty lowbrow,
Yeah.
I have a channel just so we can be negative. Oh my God, I'm getting too old for that,
Yeah, well, and I think that might be one of the reasons why my other channels are growing while this one is stagnating, because the other channels, I'm talking about things that I like. Like, the funny thing is, if you just watch this channel for the most part, you would probably walk away with the feeling that I was a bitter, cynical jerk, which is only
not
80% true.
Okay.
There's a whole
truth.
There is a whole 20% of me that likes being happy and likes talking about things that I enjoy. And that on those other channels, that's where you're seeing that 20%.
Well, you know what one of my favorite videos of yours was, and I wish you would have done more of them.
Of what?
One time you had you were walking, you went to a comic book store. Do you remember that? And you were vlogging the whole thing. Then you lost the signal when you went inside the store or something. But I just thought that was just enjoyable and it was fun just watching you wander around and go to the store. And that was actually one of my favorite podcasts that you did, or live streams rather.
Interesting. Huh. Yeah, that would be fun to do. I did not know that. You see, no one really responded to that one.
It was
but then
fun,
that's all.
you know, because it was different. And
Yeah.
when people, the first time you do something different, it takes a while for people, I think, to catch on.
Yeah. Well, you know, one of the mistakes that I made was whenever I did something different, I let the people who say, I don't come here for this channel, I just want to hear about Uber. And I said the whole, well, give them what they want, I suppose. But I made a video a while ago. This was years ago. And the title of the video was Uber can only retain 4% of its drivers. Now, should be noted, that's one of my most viewed videos of all time because it's like it was just such a startling, like, oh my gosh, it's that bad. But I probably should have looked at that video and connected the dots. Like, that's you in the future if you stick to this topic. Because if Uber's not keeping 4% of their drivers, then you're not going to be keeping 4% of your viewers.
Yeah.
So
always looking for new viewers. And the people that do stick around, there's so many people that I get that will say, well, I don't do it anymore, but I just, you know, I like the fun of the chatter. And then you got to realize, oh, all right.
Yeah. Well, and that's where what you did successfully. You were able to turn it into a chatter thing. But then to your point, like when someone says, I like here because we can talk smack about Uber, it's like, is that really what you want to do for your whole life? Is this really what you want your channel to be? I mean, it's kind of strange to think back to when I first started doing this channel. And it's like, I started this channel because I loved Uber. And in some ways, I still like the concept. When I think about the first couple of years, when I actually defended Uber and DoorDash and all these companies against legislators and stuff because they saw something that I clearly wasn't seeing at the time, like, I would kind of like to go back to those days, but you just, you can't. Uber is not the company it was. And I think that's what, I kind of wonder if viewers like even really understand that. It's like, yeah, we did this for a period of time, but we were hoping for change in the positive direction. We wanted to like this again. And it just never happened. It never happened. Uber got more corporate. I mean, they got more cutthroat. I mean, the most interesting story recently was that Dara Khosrowshahi basically admitted that Uber can afford to pay their drivers better. Like, that was like a real admission.
But you know what? I think Uber is forever. I'm not one of those that predict Uber is going to go out of business next. There's people every single year that say this is the year Uber is going to go out of business. And I'm not convinced of that. What I am convinced of is they are a company that their sole mission, if they last 10 more years, 15 years, constantly, it is a company that plugs holes and bails water. That's all they are doing is plugging holes, bailing water, plugging holes, bailing water, because it's sort of like playing a game of dodgeball. By the time you key in on where they are, they've moved to a different place. Oh, okay, we're not making a lot of money with ride sharing, so we're going to start doing pool. Pool isn't working out. People caught on to that. So now we're going to concentrate on changing the way we pay our drivers. People picked up on that. So now we're going to concentrate on doing an XL. Now we're going to, now we're going to do food delivery. They're catching on to food delivery that's not profitable. So now we're doing package delivery. It's like constantly, it's trying to hit a moving target. It's trying to nail them down is like trying to nail a handful of Jell-O to the wall. And I think that Uber is going to survive, but they're going to survive by constantly dodging and bailing water and plugging holes. I don't think they'll ever be there'll ever truly be stability with that company. And I would not invest in it. Not that there's not going to be investors that are going to make money, but they're going to make money in the wrong way. So those are
Yeah.
my thoughts on Uber.
Well, you also know one of the things that is appropriate with that dodgeball analogy is, you know how you win dodgeball, right? You pick the biggest kids and you have them on your team. And Uber doesn't have any of the biggest kids. The kids being the money.
Well,
So
yeah, but what they have, they use effectively, like lawsuits. They're really good at getting politicians to make mistakes. I mean, you look at Prop 22. That was that was such a bad bit of legislation. And it was so easy for Uber to say now, hey, let's make our own legislation. And now they figured that will keep us afloat for a couple of years. So Prop 22 was their response to
AB5.
AB5. I'm sorry, I misspoke earlier. So AB5 comes around, then they respond with Prop 22. Now, Prop 22 is probably not going to last either, but it's one of those things. It just keeps their head above water, and they keep moving and moving and moving like that. And people don't see it, and for years they survived on investor money, not on being profitable.
Right.
It's just going to continue to be that way. And then what did they do? Then they realized, oh my God, we can pay our drivers not by paying our drivers, but having them rely on tips. When at one time they told people they shouldn't tip at all.
Right.
Now the drivers are surviving solely on tips. It's such a bunch of hypocrisy.
Mm-hmm.
And yet they keep doing it, and that's how they're going to, it's almost like being someone in The Walking Dead. You just got to constantly keep moving and keep changing and keep adapting, because if you try to settle in one spot, they're going to find you and they're going to eat you alive.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the way it is with Uber. I just don't feel it's a great company to pin your future on.
No, and I have no stock.
Now I made 3 analogies. You realize that, right? We did dodgeball, we did a boat with a lot of holes in it, and now we did The Walking Dead.
Yep, The Walking Dead. Is that show still on the air? I never watched The Walking Dead.
You're the one that does channels on watching TV shows and doing reviews. You should know.
Yeah, but I'm gonna be honest. I only watch like a few episodes of The Walking Dead because I think it's boring.
I'll tell you what's driving me nuts. Can this go wherever we want it to?
Sure, pretty much.
What's driving me nuts is how long I have to wait for Better Call Saul. It's driving me crazy. Really, I got to wait 2 years between seasons, and the way their seasons are, they're only like 2 episodes long.
Well, 10, but
I know it. But compared to what they used to be, do you remember back in the good old days? You don't remember this, but they used to have seasons that were like 38 episodes long.
I remember when seasons were like 24 episodes. That was the standard. But there's also, as I get older and time becomes more valuable, I'm okay with like having shorter seasons if the quality will be higher. I've seen some shows where it's like, yeah, they're 24 episodes, but really you're only enjoying half of them anyway. Now, in Better Call Saul's defense, the reason it's taking longer for this season is Bob Odenkirk did have that mild heart attack, so they had to.
We all have heart attacks.
Well, yeah, but they put the show on pause for a while while he was recovering, and that you should do that. So people shouldn't be working themselves to death on these shows. But yeah, no, I'm eagerly looking forward to the 6th and final season of Better Call Saul. Actually, I think the 5th season's even like completed. If it hasn't premiered yet, I think it's just because they're waiting. I don't know, but yeah,
I don't know. It's gonna be 13 episodes instead of 10. So whether they're gonna cut that up into 2 micro seasons.
Let me see. Let's just look up Better Call Saul real quick. Okay, so they did release season 5. What about see season 6. Let's look. Let us look at this real quick. But the upcoming 6th and final season of AMC television series Better Call Saul is expected to premiere in 2022 in the United States and will consist of 13 episodes split into 2 parts. This will be the highest number of episodes in a season, as the previous seasons each ran 10 episodes. So, okay, yeah, there you go. 13 episode season split into 2. But yeah, either way, I do love Better Call Saul though.
You know what? Gunsmoke shot 635 episodes over 20 seasons. That's an average of 31.75. Let's call it 32 episodes a season. Yeah.
And
that's
how many of us are?
I want to see 32 episodes of Better Call Saul next season.
I mean, would it still be as good with that many episodes, though? I mean, that's an impressive episode count with Gunsmoke, but you know, there's more episodes of The Simpsons, and I would argue there's really only 100 must-see episodes of that 600 plus.
I don't think show. I must see any cartoon.
Well, you do for early Simpsons. Like early Simpsons was great, but okay. So back to our legacies of the channel. So
right. Let's go to our legacy.
Yeah. So I don't really know what my legacy in this sphere is. I know I will probably continue to do these. I think I'm going to refocus this channel on weekly podcasts because I think I enjoy doing them. You know, the viewers be darned, but I think this channel is going to start to not be updated as much. I'm going to be focusing on other channels that I enjoy making a lot more. I mean, the thing about the Apptrepreneur is like the name should have been an asset where it's like you could just make videos where you talk about the best ways to make and save money and, you know, be an entrepreneur. But I think it got too ingrained with Uber. And even though the Apptrepreneur media channel is doing fine, the Apptrepreneur name is otherwise tainted. It will always be viewed with Rideshare. And it's just not a topic that I want to devote much time to. I'm going to ask what you think the legacy of your channel is and what you think of it. And then I'm going to like propose one more question, which I think shows that people just didn't really understand what we were doing.
Yeah. The legacy of my channel, it's a good question because it evolved so much and devolved to a certain degree. When I first started, I had no idea. I didn't go out there and see and, you know, if other channels were out there. I just thought, you know, I'm on this journey and I want to share my experience with people, and maybe things that I learn will help people, but I wanted it to be more like an interactive thing. Hey, here's what I found out as a new driver. What do you guys know about this? That's how I originally did it. And my original videos were 3, 4, 5 minutes long. And then I started getting more and more involved, and I started understanding it more. And then I started researching it more because I felt, well, now I have an obligation to know more about stuff. And people started to look at you and I both and the others almost as if we were authorities. And I never considered myself to be an authority. And I said that all the time. I'm not an authority. I'm not an expert. I'm just a guy that has a channel and which allows everybody else to share their views. Unfortunately, there are some channels out there where people want to be the gurus and they want to be the authorities and they want to be the leaders. And I didn't like being grouped in with that. So eventually what happened, I think, is I just started doing more talking about it than trying to share experiences because I wasn't an expert. And I don't think people quite understood that. I thought they were coming to the channel for answers rather than coming to the channel as a community to share. And then the bubble burst and Uber went south and, you know, they started having the sexual harassment and Travis Kalanick got fired and the whole world of rideshare went topsy-turvy. So I had my my come to Jesus moment. I think I was at a Seattle hotel, and my video said I quit.
I remember that video partially because it took place 2 days after a podcast we did, and I like said, "So when are you going to quit?" And you referenced that because it was like, funny how some people know you better than you know yourself.
Yeah, I remember that, and that was so. To answer your question, that's a roundabout way of saying I don't know that there is a legacy. I think that I can't imagine with the content we do, there's ever going to be any reason for people to go back and watch old videos. The stuff that we do doesn't lend itself to that. When I look at the videos that I do that have the highest count, it's things like, here's how you ... Here's how you schedule a ride with Uber. Those are things that people all the time are always looking up. They don't want to know, here's what Travis Kalanick said yesterday.
Right.
Nobody cares because yesterday was 2019.
Right.
And so legacy wise, I don't think it exists unless there's going to be a historian 75 years from now saying, what was this rideshare stuff about? Let's see what people of the period thought about that.
All right.
And it's a legacy. No, I don't think there is one. And that's why I think, but that's very freeing for people like you and I, because we can say, I'm going to say goodbye to it and leave it in my rearview mirror. And it's not really going to matter to anybody because nobody's going to want to go back.
Yeah. Interestingly, it does seem like some people do go back, and that's why we'll like get into conversations with like that Twitter person. And so I kind of look at it and it's like, so that my legacy must be I'm always going to be like the rideshare guy, but then I don't think people understood like, well, when I got upset at all that, when I had these call to actions, when I quit, I did it because I wanted things to improve. And one of my messages was always, if you don't see any change for the better, it is best to just move on and do something else. That was always my number one thing. And at one point it's like, well, I quit, kept talking about it for a while, but I quit. And then when I was talking about it, I realized I don't have anything more to say and nothing I say is going to matter. And so I quit again. And yet there are still people who are out there, and whether because they remember or they're watching the old stuff and they're like, well, was your heart ever really in it if you could just so easily walk away? It's like, well, what do you mean so easily walk away? Like, I do know the old saying, like, the only cause worth fighting for is a lost cause. But it's not like I'm on a sinking boat in the middle of a vast ocean. I was on a sinking boat, and there was another boat right next to me that wasn't sinking and had plenty of room on it. So I got on that boat, and I let the other one sink, and I don't know. I think these people who are still on that sinking boat and they're still trying to do what Uber's doing, let's just keep bailing the water out. Eventually, it'll be good. It's like I never ever wanted that to be me, and if I kept doing what they want me to do, then that would be my legacy. I would be that guy who's on that sinking boat, who had plenty of options to get off that boat. And I never did it because I was afraid of not drowning. I don't really know the reason why you wouldn't get off that boat anymore, but some people don't. So
yeah,
I think the fact that I'm still getting emails and people are still saying you should go back to doing Uber, I bet you would get more views if you went back to doing Uber. They completely missed the point of what I was trying to say for all those years.
When people like to watch, though,
is when we get mad.
When there's drama.
Yeah.
That's why the few channels that are successful still are people that rant and rave and have drama and say, I'm going to storm the castle. And, or they, like our pal Dustin, which I absolutely love Dustin, but I mean, he figured it out. People like to see people get angry and go off on each other. And so let's just pile on those videos. But the other people that haven't figured that out, what they do are they're doing one of two things. They are either selling drama, they're creating the drama and selling that, or what they are doing is they are selling promises. And the promises, and that's what Uber does. They sell the promise, and the promise never comes true. And I think that's the same thing for Uber channels. You know, they're not selling solutions. They're not selling fun. They're not selling what, you know, a lot of successful rideshare or successful YouTube channels in general do one of a couple of things. Either they show people how to do things or they entertain people. And if you can do them both, you're going to win. And right now, just griping about rideshare all the time isn't doing either of those things, you know?
No. And I don't, like I said, I'm kind of at the point where it's like, well, especially since I kind of went through my own drama in this sphere, if you will.
But that was fun. That was fun to watch.
Yeah, but it really wasn't. It really wasn't fun.
Probably wasn't fun for you.
No.
But remember all the views you were getting at that time.
Well, yeah, but I also got so many. How many emails did I get from people saying to kill myself? I mean, it's like some people say, "Oh, brush them off," and it's like, yeah, once you get flooded with them, it can.
That's because the other guy was sending them over. He sent them over to me too.
Oh,
not to the level he did to you, but
yeah, no, he. Let's just say I was really glad when we came to peace finally after all of that, like, but I mean, yeah, the views were good, but it's like, at what cost? I mean, yeah. I mean, there was like, so one of my favorite videos. So one of my favorite videos was a vlog that I did at Disneyland with my wife, and it was like, well, she wasn't my wife at the time. It was the first time going together, and I caught all of her cute little reactions to things and stuff like that. And it didn't get a lot of views, and people are like, well, what the heck is this? And I'm like, well, this makes me happy. And so I think, and I've actually been working on some editorial videos, and I even invested, I guess this is a little bit of an announcement. I've hired an artist to do some artwork, and I'm getting some visuals. And so I'm putting together my first, not on this channel, but on another channel, my first editorial video where you're not going to see my face. It's going to be a visual editorial with like a cartoon avatar of myself. And it's fun to work on. Now, it's probably only going to get 100 views. And when you factor in the time that I'm putting into it, that probably doesn't make it much worth the time. But the way I kind of see it is like, well, look, if the channels aren't going to make money anyway, then you might as well do what you want to do. You know, that was one thing about the channel that was interesting, is like when I really leaned into like the news and the drama of what was going on with Travis Kalanick. I mean, business wise, it did make sense at the time, but it wasn't really fulfilling at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's one of the reasons I think you're probably going to abandon your Uber Hints channel. We'll find out in a few hours. But I guess the final thing we'll mention about this is there anything we would have done differently? I guess I'll start with you on that one, because I've gone first for everything else.
No. And I'll tell you why. Because, you know, hindsight's 2020, and to say, yeah, I would have done it, because it's an unfair evaluation. Because, you know, at the time, you don't know what you know now. And just like now, we don't know what we're going to know a year from now, to say, well, why didn't I do this in January of 2022? So to say I would have done something different it would be disingenuous, because we have to work with what we have at that point. The other reason is there should be no room for regrets in your life, because unless you have a DeLorean, you can't go back and change it, you know? So I say no. I mean, looking back, could I have done things? Well, yeah, I could have looked at every single successful thing. I could have jumped on the angry Uber riders videos and started putting on my channel, and I'd be making all kinds of money like Dustin. I could have quit my channel and started, restoring cars, and I could be a YouTube millionaire. You know, I mean, you could say that stuff, but in the end, no, I probably wouldn't have done those things, because it wasn't on my radar. And if I was smart enough to do that, I would be doing whatever the next thing is. I'd be doing it right now. So when we come back and talk a year from now, I can say, wasn't I smart? Look what I did, and look where I am now. So I know this is getting really philosophical, but because I know it's not what you were looking for. I have to say no. I have to say no. If there was one thing that I still haven't got a handle on, that I'm smart enough to know, but I don't do, and that is staying the course. You know, I talked about what successful YouTube channels do. There's one more thing. Successful YouTube channels figure out their identity and they stay with that. So the people that are watching them now are watching the same thing a year from now and watching the same thing 5 years from now because they stayed the course. You know, and I think to a certain degree, I didn't do that on any of my channels. And even the Average Meat channel, to a certain degree, which is it's growing really nicely now. I'm getting about 250 new subs a month now. But I've started a pattern. You know, people know on Tuesdays they can come there and watch, you know, what it's like to live in Florida. And then on Saturdays, they know they can come and they can see how-to videos. So they know those 2 days, they know what to expect from me now. They see the Florida living and they see what I call the weekend warrior. So in a way, I've started to establish that pattern. And I think if that was the one thing, had I figured that out 5 years ago, I'd probably be in a better YouTube place right now.
Yeah. No, well, good. I mean, the only thing I would do differently, because I felt I should do it back then and I chose not to, I wish I had diversified what I talked about a little bit more. I mean, I did it once in a while, and the funny thing is the results were good.
Did you say personalized or depersonalized?
No, like diversified.
Oh, diversified.
Yeah, like I remember like when I did those videos about Fry's Electronics and they did very well. And I should have just said, well, yeah, I enjoyed making those videos, but I let the comments like, oh, this isn't Uber. I'm going to unsubscribe if you... Here's some advice to people. Don't ever let someone say, like, I'm going to unsubscribe be like a threat to you. It's... First of all, it's a pretty weak threat. There are people I don't subscribe to that I watch frequently. So just do what you want to do. I mean, so... Yeah, I mean, I'll never say that I am never ungrateful to the people who watched and made the channel success, and I mean, made me basically live the dream for a few years. I mean, it's I get a little melancholy at times when I remember watching because I always loved watching Siskel and Ebert. They were kind of my heroes growing up, and I remember one time Gene Siskel, and this was like a year before he passed, and he probably knew his time was limited at that time. He was making a speech to high school kids. I think it was one of his kids who was graduating. And the thing about that speech that stood out, and he said, honestly, my biggest hope for everyone here is that you find a job that you truly love. A job that you love so much you would hate to have it taken away from you. And that always... I always remembered that. And as I was talking to another friend, like when I was kind of feeling really low and like it was pretty clear that the channel was dying, it was like, and I had to go back to getting like a real job again and everything, which is something I swore I didn't want to do again. I said, I feel really upset about that because I had the job that I really wanted to do. I want to make videos and I want to focus on it. And I was able to do that for a few years, and now I can't. It's not enough. I have to go back to spreadsheets again. And so sometimes I get a little melancholy thinking about that, but at the same time, there's nothing really stopping me. I also know that before the Uber channel, like when I had just my personal channel, which is now iCritic, I remember I made a few videos just because I was passionate about the topics. I didn't plan for them to be anything, and yet they became sensations. Like I got hundreds, and in one case, a couple million views on a video. So I also tell myself, well, look, you can do it again. I mean, I don't know if it'll ever be to where you can quit your day job again. But as long as you enjoy doing it, do it. I mean, for many years I wasn't paid to write my movie reviews, but I still write them because I enjoy doing them. So I always tell people, like, as long as you enjoy doing it. And that's ultimately the main reason why I also had to walk away from the rideshare community, because I didn't enjoy it anymore. Like, I couldn't be around that group of people where it was just, they were always nothing but unhappy and seemed to not want to change their circumstances at all. I mean, I don't know how to talk to someone who it's like, I need more money, I need dental, I need health care. And it's like, well, get an office job. And like, oh, but I like my freedom. And it's like, and it's, it's like, it's like, I don't know. It's with I don't know. It's almost kind of like someone who gets really sick, and it's like, oh, I hate being sick all the time. Well, if you don't want to be sick all the time, you could. No, freedom. I want to eat what I want.
I want Twinkies.
Yeah. It's so. But I actually agree with you. Like, our legacy, we'll probably always have a certain reputation because those videos are out there, and unless we take them down, they're always going to be there. But overall, yeah, it was fun, but we didn't make a difference in the world.
No, but I'll tell you what. Every now and then, I would usually not tell anyone this because it sounds like bragging, but I don't mean it to be that way. Every now and then, what I really like about my other channel, what I'm doing every week, I find something to fix or tackle or do. And I get a lot of people coming saying, oh my God, I'm so glad you did that because I couldn't figure this out. I have one that I made back in 2017. It's like a 1.5-minute video. And I couldn't get my printer to start. And I researched and I figured it out, and I videotaped it. I videotaped it with my phone, and I put it up there. That thing's got like 200,000 views now. And people are always saying, I'm so glad. And this is 5 years or 4 years later. And just this week, a guy sent me $100. And he said, I just want to say thank you. I was ready to throw my printer out. I was so frustrated. And I came across this video. And he sent $100 to my Patreon. And I have never had something like that happen. But just in my mind, the fact that someone was so, they felt that they got so much help from something I did that they expressed their gratitude in that way. It does do something to you every now and then. It restores your faith in people, and it makes you humble, and it just does a lot of really good things.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's always probably like the greatest feeling when someone sends you something like my first gift, if you will, with my PO box. I was doing a live stream, and at some point, and you're gonna laugh. I know you're gonna laugh. We were talking about so what are some of your favorite shows? And I'm like, well, that could be a lot of things. So what's your favorite drama? Breaking Bad. What's your favorite anime? Probably Cowboy Bebop. And it's like, so what's your favorite sitcom? And I was like, Roseanne. And then I said, which now that I think about it, I should really go get those Roseanne DVDs. And like a week later, someone mailed me with a note, like the entire Roseanne series on DVD, and said, hey, I saw that was one of your favorite shows. You didn't have them. So I wanted to, it's like that made you feel really good that someone cared enough to do that. Now, some people might say, well, I don't like Roseanne. She has an annoying voice. It's like, that's kind of besides the point. The point, first of all, the point is I like the show, but more importantly, somebody, appreciated what I was doing so much that when they heard that, they're like, I'm going to give him the show. And that's, so that's things like that. Those are things that I wouldn't trade for the world.
Yeah, and I hope people watching don't think this. It sounds like we're being really greedy here, but I think we are describing the exception and not the rule. I mean, right. I think it's just as nice when you get the same people that have been coming back to chat and visit and see you month after month, year after year. You know,
oh
like
yeah,
Crystal, who I don't
oh
know if she's still in
Crystal,
the
yeah,
room,
like
but
I mean,
Crystal has been with me for how long now? You
oh,
know,
pretty much my entire.
and with you, you know what I mean. It's
Yeah, and you know, here's the funny thing, like, you know, you see people like when we have made videos where we both said we're kind of over this rideshare thing, and so many people said, whatever you do, I'm going to continue to watch. And not to make those people feel bad, but most of them did not keep that promise. Most of them went away, but Crystal still comes, and we so appreciate it. So, you know, so yeah, things like that are, and also Romeo Bocala, I've seen him for I don't know how many years at this point. Actually, the funny thing is, like earlier, Randy was here, and he certainly his channel's blown up to where our channels are left in the dust by what he's doing, and I like that I appreciate that he still comes just to say hi. So you know, I mean, even though we kind of got soured on the whole rideshare thing, even though we don't really like what it represents anymore, there are memories and there are still good things that came from it, and that was kind of and people really wanted to know, like, you know, what my thoughts on was rideshare. So that's what it is. Going forward, I mean, yeah, this might be like a hangout thing. I'm going to do these podcasts. Maybe you'll be here. Maybe someone else will be here. Who knows? But I'll continue to do the podcast, and I will update the other videos. And yeah, this channel might not be as popular as it once was, but I'm not updating it anymore for popularity or money or anything now. It's just we enjoy doing it. So, except for you, who will probably be leaving the Uber Hits channel, but we will. I actually wondering, like, should I? Oh, by the way, Romeo says you two are the reasons I started my two channels. Well, I'm glad that we inspired you. I'm always glad when we inspire other people to try doing something themselves. I even have like another viewer, Steve, like he started doing a channel because he said he started because he watched people like you and me. And his channel's, by the way more successful than me right now. And it's like, good for you, Steve. Good for you. I'm glad that you got it. So oh, by the way, I wouldn't be I would absolutely be crucified if I did not explain this. So Mark, Barack Hussein Obama was officially the 44th president of the United States of America, and he served two years. He was the first African-American president we had, and his biggest claim to our system was Obamacare, otherwise known as the Affordable Health Care Act. So since you need a reminder, that's who Obama is.
I that wasn't intended to be a dig on President Obama. It was intended to be a self-deprecating joke about my ability to recall things beyond yesterday.
But you know I just had to say something. I could not have let that one through. So anyway, folks, that I think is a good place where we are going to end this episode. And as for what next week's topics will be and who the co-host will be, I do not know yet, but stay tuned. We're going to try to do this thing as, if not every Sunday, every other Sunday. So anyway, you know the drill. You can comment below. You can check out, like, favorite, share, subscribe. You can check out Mark's. I'm going to say you should probably check out his Average Me channel. Tell you what, folks, if I'm wrong about the announcement, I'll make a donation to the Child's Play charity. So that's something, you know, just for fun. So
anyway, if I'm wrong, I'll eat my hat. You probably don't remember that figure of speech either. They used to have a cigarette commercial on TV, and someone said something. I forgot what the slogan was, but the image was always a hat with a bite taken out of the brim. It was, if something happens, I'll eat my hat.
I've heard that saying for a long time, and I actually remember I first heard it watching. You may appreciate this. I first heard it watching Zorro and the River Pirates, where no, not Zorro, Davy Crockett and the River Pirates, where Davy Crockett beat that guy in the boat race, and the guy at the said, "If you beat me, I'll eat my hat." And then at the end, Davy Crockett saved his life and beat him, and the guy was like, "You're a mighty fine swell fella." And then he's like, "All right, where's my hat?" And then he just started eating the hat. So that was the first time I remember. And yes, I am fully aware that show was way before my time, but the classics never die. So anyway, folks, that's the drill. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you next time.